Do try to take at least one day to go to one courtroom, one day a week. And I watch 2 or 3 things go on. And almost every time I go there, I see this little process where the little mice go in the back room where you can't see or hear what they're doing, and they cut their little deals. And then they'll come out and say, okay, well, we agree that so-and-so is going to plead guilty to this, and the prosecutor is going to accept that, and I guess we're going to give her just 2 years in prison, or, and they cut these deals. Bull crap. They just sent a young 19-year-old kid who not only was gainfully employed, but was on the basketball team for Hancock College in Lompoc. 19 years old. From what I can find out, he picked up a knife that a white racist supremacist had been stabbed with, and 2 juvenile blacks had stabbed him, and then the knife got knocked around. He picked it up just as the police came in, and they charged him with 1 felony count of possession of a weapon during an altercation, or words to that effect. And he got 7 years. They said, if you don't take the 7 years, and guess who his attorney was? His attorney was a former prosecutor. His public defender was a former prosecutor. Not only that, he was one that they could blackmail. Why? Because he was that guy who was caught in January, February of 2002 in Santa Maria, California, downloading pornography on his district attorney's work computer. While, get this, while he was running for judge. His name of this guy that was running for judge and downloading pornography was, believe it or not, Charles Bailey. And they didn't prosecute him for the misdemeanor crime of misuse of government property for personal pleasure. That's a state misdemeanor. Mr. Bailey just scooted right off, no charges, and now he blackballs these kids, says, you better take this deal. It's only because I know the other side, but he doesn't tell them, oh, I used to work for the other side, and I'm still working for them. Or is he? We don't know. But how would you like to be defended by a guy that was caught downloading pornography while running for judge of Santa Barbara County? Hello? And he's still a practicing attorney. We have another little clip. Be patient. Our staff is a little shook up here today. Watch this and see how this justice goes, and think about whether this sounds like equal justice under the law to you. I'm William Wagner, hoping I'm giving you second thoughts, and I'll be back in about 5 minutes. Thoughts about your government that's gone so amok. Your name is?
My name is Rosemary Lomax.
Rosemary, are you related in any way to Daniel Bursey?
Yes, Daniel Bursey is my nephew.
You give me permission to televise this on television, internet, any other form of broadcast?
Yes.
What do you want to say about Daniel Bursey's sentencing today in this whole case?
Well, I'm really kind of distraught about this sentencing due to the fact that I feel like his lawyer misrepresented him in the whole case. Yes, Charles Bailey, his lawyer, misrepresented him. Actually, he didn't represent him at all, to tell you the truth, because he didn't try to get any witness for him or any kind of testimonies from any of the people that were there. The only thing that he has is what the DA has, which he never went out, because I asked him myself, well, what do you have? He said the people that he don't have time to go out and talk to all the people in these cases. I'm like, well, did you talk to any of them? He said no. I said, well, then you didn't do anything to defend my nephew. You know, he said, well, I just couldn't go and do all this because I don't have the time, you know. But, talking to anyone will be good. He didn't talk to anyone. He didn't go out and try to defend him whatsoever. He didn't do anything for him.
Did he tell Daniel Bercy that he used to work for the DA's office?
No, he never told him that.
Did he disclose that he's very close friends with many of the prosecutors?
He never told him anything about what he used to do, what he is, or who his friends are, or, that he used to work for the DA, because that makes a difference in whether you defend a person or not. Right now, I'm going to law school. He's not doing anything to help.
Do you think Daniel Bercy's going to get justice here?
No, there is no justice here. There's no justice due to the fact he didn't have proper representation in the first place.
Do you think Daniel Bercy did any violent act worthy of 7 years in prison?
No. This is a kid who was working and going to school at the same time. Maybe got a little drunk or whatever, made the wrong decision, at the time, trying to help somebody else. But 7 years for your first offense? That's a little bit much.
Does that seem a lot compared to Alan Courtney, former officer of the court and attorney, who just took a sentence of 5 years for 7 felonies, where 3 people died in the process of things that brought him to trial?
Work for free. Then when the $410,000 was recovered for the elders, the defendant almost immediately created a forged contingency fee agreement to take 50% and make it look like it was legitimate. He also forged an email from the elder's caretaker to give the contingency fee agreement extra authenticity. All of this was good enough, by the way, to fool the state bar. Fool the state bar. Fool the state bar.
Fool the state bar. Fool the state bar. Fool the state bar. Fool the state bar. Fool the state bar.
Into closing an investigation with regard to Mr. Courtney's taking of 50% of that money. And by all rights, the way he performed this particular crime, he should have gotten away with it. And by all rights, the way he performed this particular crime, he should have gotten away with it.
By all rights, the way he performed this particular crime, he should have gotten away with it. Should have gotten away with it. Should have gotten away with it. Should have gotten away with it.
Investigators and some luck, he would have gotten away with it. Mark Phillips' case, the defendant forged emails reportedly from Mr. Phillips ordering that the homestead money was sent to what I call a kidnapped corporation under the defendant's control. And then the defendant lied to the sheriff as part of the investigation by saying he did not know where the money went after he sent it to this corporation. Then he created a convoluted story about Mr. Phillips lending the defendant the money when he testified at trial, and contradicted his earlier lie to the sheriff. What the defendant did is he used the weaknesses in the authenticity of printed emails, not commonly known, and the weaknesses in the Nevada corporation laws that allow someone to take up a suspended corporation and control it without revealing his personal identity as a method for concealing the forged or the embezzled money. And based on the sophistication of what he did in this case, again, he should have gotten away with it. This sophistication is such that we can say that this is not a crime of the unusual case. This is a crime of calculation, of taking from only vulnerable victims.
Yes, it seems a whole lot. A lot worse than anything my nephew have done. And then they charged him also with gang affiliation or something like that. Enhancement to gang affiliation, which somebody said he was part of a gang. They don't have any proof that he's part of a gang, so they're giving him 3 years just for that.
Should Daniel, if you could talk to him, would you tell him to demand a jury trial?
I would. I've already told him to not take this deal. I told him not to take this deal.
They got him scared, don't
But they scared him into taking this deal, that if he don't take it, he'll get 15, 16 years. And so he's too scared to just fight it because he have a lawyer that's just telling him to take the deal because he's not trying to do anything to help him. So he's taking it. You want him to take the deal so he can get rid of him, actually.
Get rid of the case.
Yeah, get rid of the case and move on to the next one and get rid of that one too, probably, And that's fine.
Law for 28 years. I think Mr. Scott is one of the finest trial attorneys that I've ever met, and I'm honored that he's stood by me and represented me throughout these proceedings. 90 days ago, the jury came back and found me guilty on 7 of the felonies. I just wanted to point out to the court that the district attorney originally charged me with 15 felonies, but 8 of them were dismissed prior to the second trial. During that 90 days, I've been incarcerated in the county jail, and I've spoken to quite a few people who are similarly incarcerated, and it reminded me of something that George Orwell said a long time ago, and that is that within every important issue, there are always matters which are never discussed. And one of those matters that has not been discussed here today is the fact that the county jail in which I've been incarcerated is designed to hold 800 inmates, and it currently houses over 1,300. The state prison system, which appears where they're going to be sending me, is designed to handle 100,000 prisoners, and it currently has a population in excess of 153,000. So sending me into the penal system at this point, an overcrowded, overburdened system in which even the healthcare system is under a federal court receiver at the point because it's so abysmal, as opposed to granting probation where I can get out, start picking up the pieces of my life, get to work, find employment in this very difficult economy, but try to work towards resolving whatever restitution orders the court imposes, I think would be much better than putting me into a steel cage for a couple of years and not providing any form of restitution at all. I would much rather find some kind of work and get to resolving the restitution, being under the supervision of a probation officer, strictly complying with all terms of probation as outlined in Mr. Scott's brief.
Well, I'm sorry, Judge Garcia, you didn't like that little piece of the show. Well, that's too bad. Tough beans. Well, Judge, if you don't like it, stop being a judge. Yeah. Well, I think Judge Garcia and Michael Scott and those guys, I better turn the phone off so they don't call me back. But apparently I'm not loved by the community of lawyers. They seem to think I shouldn't be telling the truth about what's really happening in the courtroom. Wasn't that funny? The 19-year-old kid gets a first strike, so he gets 2 more and he's in prison for the rest of his life on 1 count of holding a knife so that the other guys don't continue to kill each other with it. Actually, nobody was injured very seriously at all. But here's a guy who steals $100,000 homestead exemption money. Maybe he stole a lot more. But they only proved the $100,000. Perjury, embezzlement, fraud. To me, those are 3 first-strike felonies. He had 7 felonies, and he didn't go to prison but for 5 years and 4 months with 7 felonies. Tell me that's equal justice? It's not equal justice how I read it. I wonder how this gentleman, do you think that's equal justice?